Welcome to Investors Insight, where today's topic is skip or pause. We talked about the importance of the Fed decision in last week's vlog. So Trey, give our viewers an update on the details of the Fed's decision last week to keep the rates steady and the impact they will have on the markets.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Bobby. So coming into this decision, us, along with the majority of the market participants, expected the Fed to not raise rates, and they met expectations by doing nothing. So what made this meeting so important? Why did the market react the way it did? It's because there's still the unknown of whether or not this is a skip in terms of they didn't do it now, but they just skipped one meeting they plan to raise in the future, or is this a pause in rate policy where we're going to stay here for a while? The market before the meeting was pricing in that this was a pause, that the Fed was done. 5 to 5.25 was the high point of the Fed funds rate, or what the market calls the terminal rate. What the Fed showed, though, is that they anticipate as many as 2 to 3 more hikes this year, which completely goes against what the market, which a lot of market participants were actually pricing in a cut in Fed funds rate by the end of the year. So the fact that the Fed is now putting out there that not only are they not done, but they could raise rates 1, 2, maybe even 3 times within the year is completely offsides what the market was saying. So why would the Fed do that, and why would they pause right now? Well, Fed Chairperson Powell said that they were going to pause because they wanted to be more data dependent. So they wanted to see data come in before deciding on hiking rates. So with that said, why did they push out that they were going to hike rates in the future? The reason for that is the Fed doesn't want to get into a situation where they have to do stop and go Fed policy. And that's what got us into trouble in the 1970s, where the Fed would raise rates, inflation would come down, and then inflation would pick back up. You can see on this chart here that I've got pulled up the inflation rates of the 70s. And the blue line on this chart is the current inflation rate pattern. And you can see that while inflation is coming down, a lot of market participants are saying, okay, inflation, we've come down from above 9%. Now we're below 5% and potentially getting below 4% in the next few months. We've beaten inflation. Why on earth would the Fed consider hiking? But you can see in the 70s, inflation came down. It came down just as fast as it is now. And then it went right back up because the Fed took their eye off the ball. So that's why Jerome Powell is using his words very carefully and trying to guide the market into a future where we're not cutting rates, or we're still fighting inflation, that this inflation fight is not done. And I think the average U.S. consumer goes to the store and doesn't feel like the inflation fight is won, but the market was pricing in it as if it were.
Yeah, and it matters. The Fed's actions have had an impact in 2 areas of concern that have been negatively impacted are mortgage availability and an increase in corporate bankruptcies. And as you can see in this first chart, mortgage availability has fallen significantly. Mortgage credit available decreased for the 3rd consecutive month as the industry continued to see more consolidation and reduced capacity as a result of lenders pulling back on the loan offerings due to higher rates. And obviously, with this decline in availability, the mortgage credit availability index, which you can see in this chart, is now at its lowest level since January of 2013. We're also seeing a spike in corporate bankruptcies, as shown in this next chart. Higher rates matter, and it's clear that when the Fed started raising rates, bankruptcies followed. So we're seeing pain in corporate America. It's not just the banks that are struggling with higher rates. It's other parts of corporate America. But it's not all bad news. As we've seen inflation come down, our consumer stress indicator is actually down. It's moved lower to 16.3%, as you can see in this chart. Gas prices and food, down from a year ago, have stabilized. By no means is the consumer out of the woods yet, but this disinflation is a welcome sign of relief, with the likelihood of student debt payments restarting in the months ahead. So not all bad, but we're watching for cracks in the economy and the markets. And as you know, the markets are closed today in observance of the Juneteenth holiday. We hope everybody's having a great day with family and friends. So a lot to cover, a lot to look at here. Please let us know if you have any questions. Thanks for watching.